Welcome to LG Transparent Conversations, the traveling podcast series powered by LG Electronics USA that brings crucial conversations about student-athlete mental health directly to campuses and beyond. I'm Taylor Rooks, and today we are at the Washington versus Rutgers tailgate at the Boardwalk. And today's topic is success stories of resilience. I am thrilled to be joined today by our panelists, Antonia Bates, Coach Coquese Washington, and Dr. Pete Economou. Hello, friends. Welcome into LG Transparent Conversations, powered by LG Electronics USA, that brings crucial conversations about student-athlete mental health directly to campuses and beyond. I'm Taylor Rooks, and I am so happy to be here with you for what I know will be another enlightening and important discussion. We are at Rutgers University in Piscataway, New Jersey, and we are diving into success stories of resilience. This episode will challenge conventional perspectives by exploring how prioritizing mental health can serve as a powerful tool for enhancing athletic performance, shifting the narrative towards a holistic approach to student-athlete well-being. And I am thrilled to be joined today by our esteemed group of panelists. We've got Antonia Bates, junior guard forward on the Rutgers women's basketball team. You see it? She's versatile, okay? Number 4, watch out for her. We've also got Coach Coquese Washington, head women's basketball coach at Rutgers. She was the Big Ten Coach of the Year, WCA Region 6 Coach of the Year, WCA National Coach of the Year finalist, BCA Female Coach of the Year, Greater Flint Hall of Fame inductee, and the WBCA Rising Star Award winner, and the first president of the WNBA Players Association. Come on, resume, okay? She has done it all. Next up, we have Pete J. Economou. He has a PhD, ABPP in counseling psychology, director of behavioral health and wellness, sports psychology at Rutgers University, board certified in cognitive and behavioral therapy, certified mental performance consultant, and licensed psychologist, and author of Mindfulness Workbook for Beginners and Meditation Journal for Anxiety. I'm so excited to hear the perspective that you will bring today. So as I said, today we are talking about resilience. So to really set the foundation for this conversation, I want to talk about that word and have you all define what it means to you as an athlete, as a coach, and as a mental health professional. You can go first, Antonia.
Okay. I think as an athlete, that word means mostly like pushing past the things that you didn't think that you could push past. I think as an athlete, like the hardest thing that we face is ourselves at the end of the day. So I think pushing past those thoughts, all the adversity that we face, I think that's what the word really means to me.
The hardest thing we face is ourselves. We'll come back to that because I think that touches on a lot of important things we'll discuss today. What about for you, Coach?
I think resilience to me speaks to growth. Part of being resilient, I think, is learning new and different ways to handle adversity and to handle challenges. And that comes with a mark of growth, whether that's mental growth, physical growth, emotional growth. Growth and resilience for me go hand in hand.
Now, before I get your answer, Pete, I would love to follow up on that really quickly because as a coach, do you see people grow in their resilience in your program?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, before we came in, Antonia and I were just talking about the freshmen on the team and how from freshman year to sophomore year, you see a tremendous amount of growth in a lot of areas. And we were laughing about her freshman year because the juniors, they forget when they were freshmen and all the stuff that they were battling through when they were freshmen. But absolutely, you see a lot of growth because as they go from freshman year to sophomore year to junior year, their confidence in what they're able to overcome grows. And when you see that confidence grow, then you can see their behavior and their performance change and shift.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's one of the things that makes you the most proud as a coach, as you see that growth. I love that. All right, Pete, what about for you? What is resilience to you? What does it look like?
Yeah, well, I mean, shout out to this table of like really powerful, successful women, and I think it's important. In Jersey, I want to say grit. That's what resilience is. It's grit. You know, it's that thing we say we carry a chip. It's facing adversity and it's overcoming it. And Antonia put it best when she said, I always say like, we heckle ourselves worse than anybody else can heckle us, any fan. And so overcoming the stuff that's going on internally is absolutely what resilience is.
So as you hear Antonia say that, what are some things and some tools that you tell athletes to make sure that they aren't their biggest hurdle?
Well, I mean, I gotta like copyright some of this, just in case, because we got the secret sauce over here. Make sure the Scarlet Knights are succeeding. But no, it's some of the meditation stuff, the mindfulness. How do you diffuse from the thoughts? You're not like one silly technique we have sometimes is like think about your thoughts as a Mickey Mouse or someone saying it to you. It's not you. So how do you separate from your thought? That's one way. Just developing a mental skills plan and just recognizing that mental health is physical health. And so, most of our athletes and, we spend a lot of time, running, sprints and getting our bodies right. But really what we're doing a good job with is saying, what are you doing for your mind?
When did you realize, Antonia, that taking care of your mind, taking care of your mental health was not just an add-on to the physical health? It was just as important as taking care of your body.
I think when I first got injured, I think that was a really big one, but second coming to college, as Coach Ko said, my freshman year was definitely not easy. I was dealing with an injury in my freshman year, and then also on top of it, just going through everything as a freshman goes through. It definitely hit me, and it hit me pretty fast, so I think that was when I was like, okay, let me dive deeper into this. I had people like Dr. Pete who helped me throughout the way. Coach Ko does a great job helping us throughout the way. So that was probably the first time I really dove in on mental health. Yeah.
So when you think about that time, and obviously you have grown so much from then, what are just some of the emotions that arise?
I think it's more of in the dark, like when you go home, when you finish that practice, when you are doing homework and you're looking on your canvas and you realize you have 10 assignments due and you already just went through your whole day with no time. I think it's those thoughts where it's like, was this the right choice? Am I good enough to be here? Is this something that I should be doing? Like, am I going to be able to push past these feelings? I think those are really the thoughts where when you're sitting by yourself and you're like, man, this is a lot.
Yeah, and really recognizing that and sitting with it and seeing how you feel and how you can get past it.
Can I jump in?
Absolutely.
And as a coach, knowing that those are issues that they may not bring to the table. They're not always going to tell you that they're struggling. So I walk in the gym every day. I see Antonia, how you good? How you doing? Yep, I'm good. But she's at home. I got these 10 assignments. So as a coach, one of the things that's been really cool for us and being here at Rutgers is to have Dr. Pete. And we talk to our team all the time that Dr. Pete and his staff, they're part of our team. And they come in and they talk to our team regularly. They're not the fire department. We don't call them when there's a crisis. They're part of our team that help us, as you asked earlier, what are tools that we can use on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, all the time, just like we're working on our basketball skills. We have to work constantly on our mental wellness skills. If we're doing great, how do we stay in that space?
Yeah.
Right? How do I maintain that? So since Antonia's freshman year, Dr. Pete and his staff have been critical and a part of our team so that we can help give them those tools so they're not dealing with everything by themselves, because they don't always tell you when they're struggling until it becomes a crisis, and we don't want to be putting out 5-alarm fires all the time.
For sure, you want to be preventative as opposed to being responsive. What is it like for you to hear that?
Well, vulnerability. So I think even just both, Antonia and Coach being vulnerable about this journey, because it's not easy. I think if I was the junior student athlete in me would not have been sitting here with a mic in front of my face talking about those thoughts. So kudos to Antonia.
Absolutely. Setting
the stage for that, and that's important. But, it's, I want to not have a job. And that's what I say from day one. So our job is to not have a job. So if we can, and that's why, I work across all leagues and divisions and professional, and but any day, hopefully none of them are listening, but any day I would choose the student athletes because this is the time that we can really impact. And so it kind of goes back to the first point of Coach Ko can see the development. And that's what the beautiful thing about NCAA student athlete is development from 18 to 24, too. You don't see that later on in life or earlier on in life. It is one of the most important parts and times of our life. And so what a privilege and honor to be able to, serve as a co-pilot in that journey.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about doing LG Transparent Conversations is obviously, we go to campuses and we have these conversations, and it just looks so different from even when I was in college. That something like this likely would not have existed. You, of course, have been around basketball most of your life.
Yeah.
You know about the game. You've seen it all. Did you ever even think it would get to this point where you have someone like Dr. Pete who is really supporting student athletes, helping student athletes, and is ingrained in your program?
I would not have thought about that,
Yeah.
Years ago. But I think the cool thing that my years being involved in basketball, specifically as a coach, is how much more investment in women's sports in particular, but also in the holistic development of the student athletes has really grown over the years, whether it's mental wellness, whether it's when you talk about body composition, when you talk about nutrition, when you talk about hydration and sleep, like all of these things that really go into how do you become your best self. And it goes beyond just you got to show up and produce. It's really developed into how do we help you show up and produce, where before it was just you better figure it out.
Yeah.
And if you can't figure it out, get some pliers and pull some splinters out.
Yeah.
You don't be sitting.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, and now it's a place where, like you say, it's a group of people, it's a community that come together to make sure that you all are good and performing at a really high level. I know you mentioned your injury, but I would love to hear from everyone what moment in your life taught you the most about resilience. I can start with you. I know it might also be your injury, but I don't know if it's something else.
Okay.
Let me know.
No, I think it was definitely my injury just because it is something that happened probably like 4 or 5 years ago, and it's something that I'm still dealing with today. So it's kind of like the progress of how I go about things and like the difference between when it first happened to now. I think that's probably my resilience, is being able to step on that court every day knowing that I'm dealing with this and kind of pushing past it is something that I'm proud of. So
Yeah, and it's so beautiful because every time you step on the court, it's like you're making a decision about that resilience, right? That I'm still going to go out there knowing I dealt with this, knowing that I'm moving forward and feeling proud about yourself every time. I love that. What about you? What moment in your life taught you?
You know what? For me, my mother taught me so much about resilience because she overcame so much trauma, mental, emotional, physical trauma in her life. And her ability to, as a single mom raising 5 kids, exhibit for us how to be resilient and overcome adversity. And that has really impacted me as a coach because I have that space where I can see, like, you can get through this, so how do I help you? How do I help you? How do I help point you into the right direction and get the right resources to help you with whatever it is you're going through? Because I know that you can overcome it because I saw my mom do it.
Oh, I love that. Such a beautiful answer. That's great. Shout out to moms, by the way. Give it up for moms.
Yeah.
Also, I know Antonia's family is out there listening. Shout out to them. What about you, Dr. P? What most taught you about resilience?
I can't follow up on that.
It was a pretty great answer.
I can't follow up. No, we got to move on to the next question. I mean, if I had to say something, I think resilience is cumulative.
For sure.
So I would say from my own personal experience, maybe like my first nationals, I was a swimmer, so Olympic sport athlete. Shout out to them because, we're on the bottom of the totem pole, which is a different place. That's cool. I always joke and say every 4 years it was cool to be a swimmer, and we just had it because that was the Olympic year. That was it. But my first nationals, I qualified only in one event, and I false started, so I disqualified. It was awesome. So you travel all the way over, get to that meet, and then you false start, and then you're like, cool, all right, so I'm done. That's my meet. But you learn, you build up, and then I ended up kind of competing in Olympic trials, Big East champs, like things like that. So in the end, those are the things that cumulative approach that brings you into success.
Okay, but I love what you just said. You said resilience is cumulative.
Yes.
Expand a little bit on what you mean by that.
Well, I think if any listener is thinking about a moment, there might be a moment that impacts us, but really there's all the moments that impact us. It's, from birth, as a cognitive behavioral therapist, we look at, we don't look at like blaming or anything, but we look at just the journey of life, and we learn along the way, and we carry that with us. But sometimes what I always say is, leave some of that with me. Like, let me help you carry the bag, because if you're taking that bag with you on the court, it's heavy. You know, competition's tough. You can't be carrying a bag with you while you're competing. And so that's the way that I see it.
So if there's, you know, someone that is listening to this right now that maybe feels like they aren't always resilient, or they feel like they are working on what resilience looks like for them, how would you explain to them that this is something that is a lifelong process, that it's never too late, and that you can always try to build that resilience?
It's a really good question, because I think we learn a lot from, like, say, twin studies. You know, why does one veteran or, you know, come back and have PTSD, one doesn't? And so, but it, you know, not everyone is, everyone has some resilience if to tap into it, though. So I think that that's the humanistic approach, is that we all have it. I like to say with the sports world, it's like a superpower. And so you just got to find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of the sports world, how do you coach a culture of resilience, and how do you always make sure that you are working towards that culture of resilience as a player?
Well, one word we use often in our journey and in our practices is yet. So I'm not good at fill in the blank yet.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna get help, or I'm gonna practice, and I'll get there. And when we get there is when we get there. But, you know, I can't make the 3 yet. What they like to do as players is tell me all the stuff that they can't do, and I go, yet. And that helps them refocus and reframe and develop the resilience to keep fighting through. Because it's not that you can't do it, you just can't do it yet. And that goes back to the growth process that we talked about earlier, and what we talk about in practice all the time is we're just trying to get better. We're trying to grow. We're trying to be better versions of ourselves as athletes, as performers. And so sometimes we can't do something yet, but if we keep working, you know, and then when we get a month later, weeks later, and we go back, see what we can do now that we couldn't do a week later. So trust yourself and keep fighting through.
I love that. How powerful has that been for, you know, yet to be a word that can really encourage you? And is there anything that you maybe thought you wouldn't be able to do that you are doing now?
Everything. No, I'm kidding. No. I think I'm so blessed to have someone like Coach Co. I mean, she's more than a coach to me. I know my teammates feel the same way. A lot of people aren't blessed with someone who's always in your ear, supporting you, encouraging you when you think that you can't do it. And she tells you you're going to be able to do it, just not right now. Like, just keep going. Again, I'm so blessed to have someone like her.
So sweet.
I love it, yeah. But besides Coach Co, I think something that I keep in mind is delayed does not mean denied, and to keep your faith. That is something that sticks with me every day. Like I said, besides Coach Co, my faith is something, so that quote like really sticks with me when dealing with things like this. Yeah.
Definitely. I love it. You know, she didn't want to brag on her skills, so I'm going to ask you, what is something she thought she wouldn't be able to do that you see her on that court now? Like, look at Antonia go.
Yeah.
It was just yet. It was just yet.
Antonia is so versatile. Like, she is my Swiss Army knife. You know, like her freshman year, I was like, Antonia, you're the tallest person on the team. You got to play inside. She was like, Coach Co. I was like, you can do it. You can do it.
Like,
then last year, she played point
Get
guard.
me out of there.
But I think honestly, one of the things where I've seen her, and it's not an on-the-court thing, but it's her leadership. And I've been telling her since she was a freshman, Antonia, you're a leader. You know, you're going to lead this team. She's like, Coach Co, I'm just a freshman. And this year, she has really embraced being a veteran and being a powerful voice in the locker room. And so it's been good to see her really embrace that role of being a leader on this team.
Come on, Antonia. I love to see it. When she is talking about the word yet and how that has really worked for this team, I also hear a description of just reframing how you look at things. How can reframing your attitude, the language that you use when you talk about yourself, really help you in terms of just resilience or mental health? And really how you just view yourself as well.
Yeah, reframes are powerful, and there's actually science behind it, which I won't bore us with, but I'll just say RFT, relational frame theory. So there's science that says words have an impact neurologically on how our body responds. And so it does, if I'm always carrying, you can't just always have positive thoughts. So 70% of our thoughts are negative, especially high performers. So I can't just be like, I'm going to be great, I'm going to be a big in the inside, or I can't, and then all of a sudden, it doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
I have to like accept that the thoughts are there and reframe and be like, I'm not a big yet. Or I'm not, I like that. It's a way that you can kind of look at that. And then just also, I think it helps to ground you in this moment. Because just because you're not there now doesn't mean you're not going to be going there.
Yeah. And because I think that in tough times, it does feel like this is the only moment.
For sure.
So you can't even think, okay, if I work on it, I can get good at it, because you just know that right now, you're not, and it feels like that's the end. So I really love that.
And I'll just give a quick shout out then to Rutgers, because it was about to be a football game, and we talked about CHOP. So everyone knows that in the world of, the Rutgers world, and that's what we do. It's just one tree at a time. You grab the axe and you just chop. And so I think that's exactly what you just said, so shout out.
Oh yeah, look at
Hashtag CHOP.
You're welcome, Rutgers. Here at LG and with LG Transparent Conversations, we put a lot of focus on positivity and how that can influence our lives. So I would love to hear from each of you the great things that you tell yourself about yourself in times of struggle. I'll start with you, Antonia.
I knew you were going to start with me. I was hoping I could be last.
There's so many great things. Of course I had to start with you.
I kind of tell myself, like, I've already made it this far, kind of. That's usually what I tell myself in the basketball aspect. Outside of basketball, more of, I believe that I'm such a special person, and I was put on, like, in this world to, like, impact other people. So just something like this, like being able to talk about things, hopefully helping other people. Yeah. I think that's my purpose in life. So kind of stepping outside of myself, making sure that, I don't hold myself down, I don't hold myself back, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's usually what I tell myself.
Yes, that's amazing. I hope you tell yourself every day that you are such a special person.
Thank
I
you.
love that answer. What about you, Coach Co? Am I allowed to call you that?
Yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
What about you, Coach Co?
I think, something that I learned from both my parents, my mom and my dad, was I can do the work. So I believe I can do anything because I know I will do the work. I will do the work that it takes to figure it out. I will do the work that it takes to find the resources, the people, the connections that I need to make it happen, but I'll do the work. So there's nothing that I can't do because I will figure it out, I will do the work, and if I want to do something, I know that I'll find a way to make it happen.
Yeah, I'll do the work. I love it. What about you, Dr. Pete?
What
do you tell yourself?
Shout out to love. So just like, that I'm loved, or I love, there's infinite amounts of love. And so in any moment when everything feels dark or feels like you just can't get out of it, you can love yourself, you can love someone else, and there's infinite amounts of it. And Lord knows we could use more of that in today's world.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So tell me more about just positive reinforcement as a tool.
Well, it's as a cognitive behavioral therapist, when you ask, so that's actually how you increase behavior, is you positively reinforce.
Okay.
So that's just a learning theory of it. So positive reinforcement is like, shout out to someone when they're doing something good. It's also just like a token economy, right? We give somebody like some extra swag or something like that. Like that's how you can get just positively reinforced. I mean, so there's some actual external things, but you can also work on that internally.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that's a lot of the work is just, kind of finding the balance between the external and the internal.
Yeah. I know that in your work you talk a lot about being mindful.
Yeah.
And that is something that I hear people say a lot, and I think I understand it in theory.
Yeah.
But tell me what it really means to practice mindfulness and also why it's so difficult.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we should ask our other panelists to see if they've been listening for the last 3 years. But no, I won't put them on the spot like that.
Oh, we're gonna circle back.
But and I love that you said that, Taylor, because it's like one of these words that I think is sort of a little saturated,
Yeah.
So it's on purpose in the present moment and without judgment. It can be anything. Coach Coe and I were talking about that just before we started recording. It could be whatever. It's non-secular. It's anything you want it to be. It could be cooking. It could be hiking. It could be spending some quality time with a loved one. It could be meditating. It could be all these things, which is the beauty of it. And it's really nice to help people find what it is for them, because it's not just one thing. So it's this, and you don't need a fancy membership. You don't need, expensive shoes or anything. No equipment. It's really dope.
Just
like
you.
just you.
Yeah.
That's it.
I will say, before I ask you about mindfulness, I will tell you this. I feel like it is super difficult for me to practice mindfulness. It is something I hear, obviously, all the time. It's hard for me to quiet my mind. And even when I have tried something like meditating, and maybe I should try something else, but I can maybe do it for 30 seconds. And then I think about what I have to do the next day, or like something I didn't do right yesterday, or like, did I miss this? It's super hard for me to really just be present and fully focus. What has your journey with mindfulness been?
Like Dr. Pete said, for the past 3 years, coming into college, I probably never thought about it.
Yeah.
I probably didn't even know what it really meant. Since meeting Dr. Pete, Coach Co has him come in before our games, which is like a big time where you need to be present in the moment because our team, we get very ahead of ourselves. There's nerves, there's excitement. We just need to calm down. So we'll come in and we'll sit down, we'll close our eyes, feet on the ground, take deep breaths, things like that. So that's probably the most important and most impactful because it taught me, like, even in the biggest moments, even in the most exciting moments, you just need a second.
Yeah.
You just need to, feel yourself in the moment, like you're really there, you did this, all the work that you brought here, like you were meant to be in this moment. So I feel like that's what it means to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big part of, our daily life on game days. So
she's taking it in. Look at that.
We do appreciate it.
It's a little proud moment there, I'm just going to say.
We do appreciate it. It sticks.
I'm also thinking Antonia's going to get Taylor to do it.
Hey, I hope so. I was like, okay, feet on the ground.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, should we do it?
She's going to be your coach.
Right now, I love it. What about for you, Coach Coach? Are you good at practicing mindfulness as well?
I think so, but it doesn't look like feet on the ground, and I'm not good at meditating. But what I have learned, especially talking with Dr. Pete, is the individual time, because in my role, I'm always out with others and in front of the people, and so for me, the mindfulness comes just having moments to myself, and I try to make those moments revolve around joy. For me. So it might be music, it might be, they don't notice, but I'm at home in front of the mirror, like, I sound like Whitney Houston to myself in my bathroom. Like, I can really go.
I can assure you she does not sound like Whitney Houston.
I love that.
So just having those
should we cue it up?
I'm like, if you say it, you got to sing it.
But I'm not in my bathroom, so that's the only place where I sound like
you
Whitney
got to have the acoustics. I'm with you. Everything sounds a little bit better in the bathroom, in the shower. I totally get it. I love that. So what is so clear to me, and I love this because it's a major focus with LG and with Transparent Conversations, is the power of community. Like, you all are leaning on one another. You are getting better through conversations with one another, knowing that you can talk to your coach, knowing that you're there for her, knowing that you always have Dr. Pete. Just how has support and community really changed you all's lives? I'll start with you.
Yeah, so I've been, here we've been privileged to have a whole team. So I've gotten the support, obviously the privilege to work with people like Antonia and Coach Co, but also across all sports. And so we have one of the largest, most diverse teams in the country of mental health providers. So that's a shout out to, Rutgers, RWJB Barnabas, like our ability to support the needs of, diversity, social justice, as well as mental health. And all that is a part of how we perform. And so my team, and I know we say this in the world of sport, but I do have the best mental health team in the country.
I love that. And what makes you say that?
Well, because we are.
You're just like, with best, the approach.
It's just.
Look, she knows how to be mindful.
We're coming back to that on you. We're coming back. We're going to get you there. I promise you. It's a new task.
I'm going to work on it.
I'm on it.
I'm going to get the journal. I'm going to get the workbook.
I'm on it. I got it over my office over there. I'm going to bring it out.
And there we go.
But we do, I will say, it's just like interdisciplinary. So it's psychiatry, it's sports medicine, it's everybody. It's nutrition. We do individual work, we do group work, we're doing learning evaluations and assessments for the classroom, we're doing substance use education and assessment, we're doing mental skills training, we're doing everything that is mental health because it's such a broad thing, and so that's really the answer to what makes us the best.
Yeah, like it's a full 360 holistic approach.
Yeah.
I love that. What about for you? How has community and support really, changed your life?
It's everything, and it's everything in my role as a head coach, to be able to have all of these resources to point them in the right direction, because they come in, as girls, teenage girls, at that stage in their life, they're super critical, you know, and they're afraid to be different. They're afraid to step out. So we have to encourage them to use all the resources, to be aware of the resources, and to know they're not alone. Yeah. And that they're going to get through all of this stuff with help. We have a lot of people that are just here for you. So in my role as head coach, the support of the community is everything to pour into them and put them in a place where they can be adults and healthy and whole.
Absolutely. That's so great. What about you? How has community impacted your life, Antonia?
I think along with what Coach Ko was saying, I think the program here allows you to be able to step outside of yourself as athletes. I think most of the time we don't really want to admit that we're going through things because our whole life we're pushing past adversity, we're pushing past this, when it's okay. Like, it's okay not to be okay, and that's something that Dr. Pete taught me, Coach Ko has taught me. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think 30% of student athletes deal with mental health, but only 10% seek help, like only 10% go out to seek help. And that's something that sticks with me because most of the time, like, Coach Ko, like, she brings us these resources, like, we don't even have to ask. Like, so it's kind of that, like, the community, like, we're able to kind of just go through our lives knowing that it's okay to go to people like Dr. Pete. His team is amazing. Like, the way they help us be on the court is, like, absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Like, it's something that I'm so blessed to have here at Rutgers. So I think that's what I would point out. I think it's something that I've grown to learn, that it's normal to deal with emotions like these, and they make it even more normal.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you touched on something that is really important, which is, you know, a part of, you know, building resilience and being able to be better is also recognizing when you need to seek help and being comfortable doing that, asking those questions, seeking out your resources. Is that something that you had to warm up to? And then how do you know now how to attack? Like, I need help. What can I do? And, you know, who is there for me?
Yeah, I think it was something that was hard. Like I said, like, as an athlete, you're not really wanting to admit that something's wrong, like whether it's your performance, whether it's you're not seeing the court as much as you want, whether it is injuries. Like, we're all always going through something, and like I said, here it's normal. Like, I don't even think twice about, hey, Dr. P, like, am I able to set up a meeting? Like, Coach Ko, like, am I able to text one of the people on Dr. T's team, like, go help them, like, you know what I mean? Just things like that, like, it is normal. So I think now, 3 years here, it's not even something that crosses my mind, like, to go back and be like, you know what, like, maybe I shouldn't. It's kind of like now I'm encouraged to do things like this, which is amazing, and I think that's something that should be, like, rewarded. Like, I think that's something that you guys should really feel proud of.
And what's really cool about Antonia, when I talked about her leadership and her growth, is she's now showing that and teaching that to the younger players on our team. You know, when they are struggling, without asking me, she's like, hey, you need to take care of that. You need to go talk to Dr. Peter. You need to go talk to our trainer and get a second opinion or whatever. And then she comes back and tells me, I got her. She's cool. She's good.
That's so great.
And that's part of that community. Like, she is a part of the community for other people. And when you start to have that kind of culture where the players themselves are reinforcing the need to be mentally well and emotionally safe, then you know you're on the right path.
Yeah.
So
and
I'm proud of her.
Oh, I love that. And I'm sure, you know, it probably feels really good for you to be the person that, you know, maybe freshman you would have really loved to have. And you get to be that for your teammates. So I love that. What advice would you have for somebody who knows they need help, but maybe they aren't sure how to ask, who to ask, what to do?
You just take that first step and you know, ask. Maybe start with a teammate, you know, someone you're comfortable with. One of the things I say in the college arena is that I'm very expensive when you graduate. So it's important to use that. You know, it's like Ko said, it's the resources. I mean, you know, some of my friends or colleagues come from the professional teams that are in the area, and they'll come to the facilities and they're like, wow, you know, like impressed facilities at this collegiate level, you know, these days, and the resources also. So just, you know, utilize everything that's in front of you, because the 4 or 5 years you're here is fast, and it'll be gone before you know it. You can't tell someone that, because like we want to say like, oh, if I could do it again, like to go back and
Sure.
you better enjoy these 4 years because it's all you got. You just like we all feel that, do we?
Yeah.
But you can't say that.
You can't. Yeah. That's so funny. I want to talk a little bit more about just maybe people that you all draw some inspiration from.
Mm-hmm.
Do you all have favorite stories of resilience from your favorite athletes or, favorite public figures that have inspired you and things that you think about when you need a little bit of a push?
Well, I'll go first just to give you guys
Yes.
a time to think.
Yeah.
Just because someone popped in my head. So Michael Phelps,
For sure.
right? So he very publicly went through his depression and mental health and substance use journey, and has now I guess found himself and been healthier. And I actually was on the same pool deck with him in 2000 when he was a little 15-year-old competing for the Olympic trials. So that was
Wow.
his first Olympics. Yes, I'm that old. But but the fact that knowing that he was that 15-year-old who was one of the youngest members of the U.S. team to now be I think he's the most decorated Olympic athlete. I don't know. Either him, he's up there. He's one of the top decorated Olympic athletes, and had this very public, mental health crisis in front of the world. And kudos to him to go ahead and go fix that.
Absolutely. And to be so outspoken and
open,
vulnerable about
yeah.
everything that he went through.
Yep.
Shout out to Michael Phelps.
Yep.
What about you, Coach Cal?
One of my favorite athletes and inspiration is Wilma Rudolph.
Yes.
Just everything that she went through in terms of physically, overcoming polio and going on to be a world-class athlete, but also in particular growing up in the time and the era that she did when, women and women of color were devalued. They weren't respected. Their road to success was even more harsh because of things that, they had no control over.
Yeah.
Right? And so just her ability to overcome physical, emotional, societal prejudices and challenges, and to elevate her life and stature to the level it did, she's always been an inspiration for me.
Yes. Being great in spite of.
In spite of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about you?
I love Simone Biles.
Oh, yes. Love
Yeah.
Simone Biles.
She
the
is
best.
so amazing. Like, I look up
Yeah.
to her so much. I think when she was going through what she went to, I think it was 2 Olympics ago, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, 2 Olympics ago, when she had her mental health issues, and
Yeah.
she came out and told her story. I loved that. Like, she normalized it for other people. And again, as one of the best Olympic athletes in the world,
Yeah.
if not the best, she's the best gymnast. So being able to come out, tell your story, knowing that there's harsh people on the internet, everyone always has something to say, and then standing on your story, inspiring other people, I would say Simone Biles. Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, she's great. I'm like, I could talk about Simone Biles forever and ever. What a great
Yeah,
answer. I
I
love
love
it. Lastly, I would just love to hear from each of you why it was so important for you to sit at this table, to also be open about your experiences, your feelings, your resilience, what you're going through. Why did you really want to use your voice here at LG Transparent Conversations?
Me?
Yep. Always Antonia.
I think I touched on it before. I think that this is great. Just things like this, as a student athlete, I think this is amazing. The mental part of the game is so important, especially now, seeing everyone kind of dealing with the social media. There's always something on social media that athletes can't stand. It gets to you, it really does. And then being able to come on the court, being able to push past everything that you see, I think is so important. So normalizing all of these things, normalizing the conversations, and then offering resources,
Yeah.
everyone being able to know where to go when they feel down, they feel like they can't do it. I feel like that's something that's so important to me, dealing with it as an athlete. I think that this is just amazing.
For sure. And just in case there's anyone listening who relates to some of the things that you were saying, how have you learned to deal with social media?
I don't think you ever really truly learn how to deal with it. I think it gets new, something's new every single day. I think being able to, again, be mindful,
Yes.
be in the
Be
moment,
mindful.
turn off your phone, do something else. Like I said, 10 assignments, do some homework maybe, like get your mind. No.
Yeah,
Just
and
get
also
your-
realizing like this person who does not know you,
They
it's
don't
not important.
matter.
Yeah.
You know, if they have time to do that, you know,
Mhm.
you're already in a great place. You're already
Yeah.
doing something that they can't. So I think that's a huge thing, being in the moment.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What about you? Why was it important to sit at this table?
It was important for me to sit at this table to really speak to other leaders, other coaches on every level, from high school, college, professional level, that we have a responsibility to reach every part of the athletes that are under our care. Beyond teaching basketball skills and winning and all that stuff, we have a responsibility to teach their hearts, to reach their hearts, their minds, their spirits, their souls. And part of that is that we have to know what the resources are, point them in the right direction. We have to recognize the signs of when they're not well, so we can point them in the right direction. We don't have to solve every problem, but it's our duty to make sure that they're taken care of. And we can't underscore that as leaders of these teams.
Yeah.
So that's why it was important for me to be here and to talk about resilience and talk about mental wellness and talk about being providing a village and a community of support so that these young people can be as healthy as they can.
Yeah. And it's so clear to me that your title is personal to you. Why has this been such a calling in your life?
Because when I was her age, somebody poured into me. You know, I didn't grow up wealthy. You know, my coaches had to give me a ride to practice, or I caught public transportation. We didn't have the WNBA. So for me, I had to make college work. I didn't want to go work in a factory. And somebody poured into me and showed me these are different opportunities. You have to have the life that you dream of. And so I look at my role as head coach is to help her live the life that she dreams of. And nobody dreams of being depressed and being sad and feeling worthless. Nobody dreams about that. So it's my job to partner with her, to be a resource for her to live the life of her dreams. And whatever it is that I can do to help her do that, that's what I'm passionate about.
Oh, I love that. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. That's so beautiful. What about you? Why did you want to be here with us today, Dr. Pete?
We are all exactly where we need to be.
Yes.
That is the Zen teaching. Education, you know, the more facts and education we can get out there, the less work. I mean, that's why we're doing better at not having fires, you know, because if you don't have to put fires out, you know, if you're keeping it simmered and you're just giving the tools. And so for me, any opportunity I can get to educate, because pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And so that's like another bit of mindfulness that you can
Yeah,
see.
I'm like, say that again.
I'm going to give you the little gems just so you maybe come back. It's like
I'll write them on my mirror. I'm like, yeah, that suffering, that's optional.
Yeah. But in learning how not to like let go of suffering, because many of us are attached to it, you know, because we have trauma, we come from these things, and so we're sort of used to that. And so to let that go and find some peace, that feels weird. But let's do that together. Let's walk together towards that.
I have loved this so much. I mean, I know I'm not supposed to say I have favorites, but this has been one of my favorites. It has been a delight to obviously hear you talk about the different tools that you have instilled in them, how you have helped them be mindful, how much you really love your role in seeing them grow. I love hearing that, hearing your dedication to these student athletes, that it is your calling, that you want to improve their lives and make sure that they are also feeling all of the ways that they deserve to feel, and hearing the many strides that you have made, how proud your coach is of you and everything that you have done and will continue to do. I appreciate you all being so open, being so honest, answering my many questions. And I genuinely thank you so much for being here, and life's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of LG Transparent Conversations. For more episodes and to catch up on seasons 1 and 2, check out LG Transparent Conversations on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or at lg.com/us/transparent-conversations.